World War I wasn't just a clash of empires and trenches. It was also a war of survival against disease, infection, and exhaustion. While governments scrambled to supply proper medicine, soldiers often turned to plants and herbs, many of them traditional remedies passed down through generations. These were cures carried in pockets, tucked into field kits, or smuggled from home. Some actually worked, others were dangerously unpredictable, and a surprising number were eventually banned by military authorities. Today, we're uncovering 7 plant-based cures that World War I soldiers swore by, but were forbidden once the risks became too obvious. Willow bark, the trench aspirin. Long before aspirin was mass-produced, willow bark was one of the oldest natural painkillers in Europe. Soldiers would strip bark, chew it, or boil it into a bitter tea to relieve fever, headaches, and sore joints. It contained salicin, the natural chemical precursor to aspirin. In the trenches, this was a godsend for men with limited medical access. But the problem was dosage. Too much willow bark caused stomach bleeding and nausea. Military doctors eventually banned its use in field hospitals, fearing overdoses and complications when safer, standardized aspirin tablets became available. Poppy tinctures. Pain relief with a price. Opium had been a known medicine for centuries, and during World War I, soldiers sometimes made crude tinctures from poppy plants growing along the fields of Flanders. They swore by it for easing shrapnel wounds and numbing unbearable pain. But its addictive properties quickly became evident, and some soldiers just couldn't fight without it. Military command considered it dangerous to discipline and morale, banning field use and reserving morphine for controlled medical administration only. Still, for those who suffered in makeshift trenches, a poppy tincture meant the difference between screaming agony and a night of uneasy rest. Yarrow, often called the bleeding stopper, was known in folklore as soldier's woundwort. It was a battlefield staple long before the First World War. Soldiers would crush its leaves and pack them directly onto cuts to stop bleeding and, hopefully, prevent infection. It actually worked surprisingly well, thanks to the antiseptic compounds found in the plant. But, it wasn't sterile, and when used in those unsanitary trench conditions, it sometimes introduced more bacteria than it stopped. So, once medical bandages and disinfectants became available, Yarrow poultices were outlawed in official practice. Chamomile tea really was, in a way, nerves in a cup. The nightmare of shell shock, what we now call PTSD, was absolutely rampant during the First World War. Soldiers would often brew chamomile flowers to calm their nerves, ease stomach cramps, and help them get some sleep, even with constant bombardments all around. It was harmless in small amounts, but commanders feared its overuse. Chamomile induced drowsiness, and soldiers drinking too much were seen as sluggish or unfit for duty. Some officers banned the soothing brews, insisting men rely on rations and regulated stimulants like tea or coffee. Cannabis extracts. Relief in secret. Cannabis tinctures were common medicines before the war, prescribed for pain, anxiety, and insomnia. Soldiers sometimes carried small bottles or rolled makeshift cigarettes from hemp and wild cannabis plants they encountered in certain regions. Many reported that it dulled pain and eased nerves during unbearable trench nights. But military authorities considered it a threat to discipline, banning its use and confiscating it where found. By mid-war, cannabis was officially outlawed across many armies, though in practice, soldiers in remote areas continued to swear by it quietly. Foxglove decoctions. A heart gamble. You see, foxglove, or digitalis, had been used historically to treat heart conditions. Interestingly, some soldiers brewed crude teas from it to calm palpitations caused by fear and exhaustion. But foxglove is incredibly dangerous. It contains digitalin, which can easily poison the heart if taken in the wrong dose. While some soldiers claimed it steadied them under fire, others, unfortunately, collapsed from overdosing. Military doctors outlawed it quickly, recognizing its deadly risks. Still, the fact that soldiers turned to such a plant shows the desperation of trench medicine, where even poison was worth a gamble if it offered relief. Garlic poultices were known as the trench penicillin. Before antibiotics, garlic was actually one of the most trusted natural antiseptics. Soldiers would crush cloves and apply them to wounds, believing that the pungent juice could fight infection. Modern science backs up, well, some of these claims. Garlic really does have antimicrobial properties. But honestly, trench conditions made infections absolutely fierce. Military doctors frowned on garlic poultices, calling them unsanitary compared to carbolic acid and iodine treatments. Still, many soldiers recorded using garlic as a last resort when medical supplies ran out, and they credited it with preventing wounds from turning fatal. These 7 plant remedies reveal a forgotten side of World War I, the battle not just against enemy fire, but against the body's collapse under truly horrific conditions. From willow bark teas to foxglove poisons, soldiers relied on nature when medicine failed them. Some of these cures genuinely helped, others endangered lives, but all of them were eventually banned as armies modernized their medical care. What remains are the stories of desperate men who turned to the earth itself for survival in the mud-soaked trenches of the Great War. If you enjoyed uncovering this strange side of history, make sure to subscribe to Strange History and, share this video with someone who loves discovering the hidden cures, customs, and curiosities of the past.